welcome to 5280 Film Room. We're a Colorado sports podcast by fans for fans. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Gideon.
I'm Miles.
And I'm Jordan. And we are broadcasting on Friday, July 20th, and we're currently watching a Rockies game. 3-2 right now. Rockies are losing, unfortunately. But they're on a roll. This is the first game after the All-Star break, and before the All-Star break, they won 13 out of 16 against the Mariners, D-backs, Dodgers, Giants, and they were on quite a roll. I did not expect them to do that, considering the competition they were playing, but it was an amazing roll. I'm hoping they can keep it going because their schedule coming up is pretty tough.
It was nice to see them close out the first half of the season that strong.
It was awesome.
And I can't think if they made a statement to the rest of the league saying, well, the division for sure, that hey, we're not going down. We want this playoff spot. And yeah, we got to really look forward to these next few weeks to really solidify our place, to hopefully take the lead in the NL West.
Well, we were one of the hottest teams going into the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I mean, we 13 in the last 16, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
hopefully the rest wasn't too much.
no.
Keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and I think that 13 out of 16 is the difference between us being buyers and sellers at the trade deadline.
Which is a huge factor.
Yeah,
Just because around the corner.
Yeah, just because of the competition we were playing, we could have been, 6 out of 10.
We've got it.
13 out of 16.
Yeah, we
then
definitely
you're in a
have
position
to.
where you have to dump some good positional players if you want to hopefully salvage the rest of the season. But the fact that we closed out strong made us able to not really be forced to make any moves they don't need to make.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, I think we definitely need to make at least a move or two, especially with the Machado trade.
Yes.
That's going to be rough. But I mean,
I
if we make a couple moves here or there, shore up a little bit of talent.
Yeah, I'd like to see them make a blockbuster move. Whether they're going to do that or not, I don't know. But they need to make some sort of move. Just because Manny Machado, he's one of the best players in the league. And there were a lot of teams trying to get him, like the Cubs and the Yankees. But, of course, it's the Dodgers that got him. And that makes the Dodgers the clear favorite to win the division now.
And they're still currently in first.
Yes.
First in the division, followed by the Diamondbacks, and then Rockies in third. Only a game and a half behind the Diamondbacks, 2 games behind the Dodgers. And going into the break, I mean, it was really special to watch how that momentum built. And they really just went on fire. And the last game before the break was against the Mariners, tied 3-3, bottom of the 9th. And Trevor Story is up to bat. I had like a super stressful day and was at home watching this game. And he hits his first ever walk-off home run. And I burst into tears. I was so happy. I think that's one of my favorite things about sports. It's those magical moments. Those
Makes
moments
a bad day better.
Right, where like no matter how bad your day's been, your team goes out and does something great. The team you cheer for, that you love and you pay attention to. And the magic of sports is something that I think is kind of unparalleled in any other form of entertainment.
Yeah, because they already won the series at that point, so even if they lost that game, they still would have won the series, but there was something magical about that moment.
I just wanted to sweep the Mariners so bad.
And just before the break, and Story found out a week before that he was going to be an All-Star.
And his
he's
reaction
the one that hit the home run.
It was
Punctuated
magical.
our winning streak, if you will.
Yeah, It was amazing. And Story deserved to be in the All-Star game. I'm glad he actually got it. So
And he had a home run in the All-Star game too, right?
Yeah, a tying home run in the 8th inning or something like that.
The All-Star game was a lot of fun to watch. I hadn't watched it the last couple of years, but this year I was really excited, and it seems like all the players that were chosen to participate in the All-Star break, they really came out and showed out.
It was a good
especially
game.
The Rockies.
Yeah.
It's fun to see your players that are representing your team play well in front of the entire nation.
Absolutely.
It was exciting. Just 'cause they broke the record for most home runs in an All-Star game. Previous record was 6, and throughout the whole game they hit 10. It's that's what fans want to see is home runs. So I think it was exciting overall.
One of my favorite things in the All-Star game is the on-field interviews, mid-play, they're out there interviewing players.
Matt Kemp.
And Charlie Blackmon, he's just, I don't know. He's so charming and funny and was wonderful in his interview. I feel like best out of all the players that they interviewed. Obviously, I'm super biased because he's a Rocky. But it's great to get just kind of that really personal moment with certain players where they're just goofing off and enjoying getting to play a game they love. Make a ton of money doing it. That game's really is for fun.
Well, the fact that they chose to mic him up. Like every inning they pick a different player and they
in
chose
the middle of the
Chuck
game.
Nasty. Yeah.
Of course.
You know, that just shows like how much respect and how much people actually want to listen to.
He's loved league-wide, not just by Rockies fans. He's definitely a personality that just breeds a lot of fandom, I think.
Yeah.
From fans across the league.
Because I don't think, based on his stats, he deserved to be in the All-Star game. I'm glad he was, but I think that's just his reputation.
It's very charismatic.
Based on what he's done the last couple of years that, you know, Charlie Blackmon, even though he's had a down year, he deserves to be in the All-Star game.
He's an all-star talent.
Do. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Now that we're back from the break, what's in store? What's upcoming on the schedule?
So this is probably going to be the toughest part of the season for the Rockies. 25 of their next 28 games are against teams with winning records. Against the Diamondbacks, Astros, 2 series with the Astros, Athletics, Dodgers, Cardinals, Brewers, and the Braves. And the 3 games that are against the Pirates, which is the only team that's under 500, there's only 1 game under 500. So they're right there.
Yeah, that's...
So their next 28 games are going to be pretty tough.
They have to keep
By the
that
time we
hot
play
streak
them,
going.
they'll probably be above 500.
Yeah, they could be.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like they almost got to start treating these games more like their playoffs, especially against these better teams. This is a chance for the Rockies to show what we've got on a competitive edge, and if we can do well against these winning teams, then I think that we can make a solid push for the wild card for sure.
Yeah, I think they should go balls to the wall this next month, just because in September, that's when the roster gets expanded to 40 men instead of 25. So you can use up a lot of your bullpen pitchers now in the toughest part of your schedule, because then you can bring up the minor leaguers and add them to your schedule in September. And give those guys
I didn't
a
know
rest.
that. So do you know why it is in September? Is it because that's when playoffs are getting close?
It's a long season.
Right.
It's a long season, and teams that really aren't in the playoff hunt, like they want to get their minor leaguers a chance to play. So
should get out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
September 1st, every team gets 15 more people that they can add to their roster. Now, usually they don't add 15 more just because you're taking away playing time in the minor leagues, and you can't play all 40 guys in a week. So we'll probably add like 7 to 8 more guys.
But even that can change the momentum and the tempo. And
so I think that since this is the hardest part of their schedule, they should just, use up Ottavino right now, use up Wade Davis, do what they can to win as much as they can in these next 28 games, because they can give them a rest in September. So we'll see what they do. If they can even play 500 baseball, I would consider that pretty good. But I would expect more out of them just based on the way they've been playing.
Absolutely. And just watching these past couple weeks of games, the presence has just been different. It feels like every game's being approached with a lot more attitude and a lot more focus on we have to win this specific game. I know in baseball it is such a long season. It's got to be easy as a player to kind of get complacent and get to where you're showing up and you're doing your job, but you're not completely mentally in it. And I feel like there's been a shift across the whole team of just this heightened level of focus and wanting to make sure they're successful now.
Oh, yeah. If you look at a team like the Angels, for example, I think they're 14 games out of first place. And if you're a player playing for a team that's 14 games out of first place, are you really that into it? I mean, you want to win every game, but you don't want to go out there and get hurt and potentially affect your future.
In a season that's not really
exactly
going anywhere.
Yeah. But the Rockies have been playing like they want to win the division and they want to make the playoffs.
And this first place fight is tight, and it's probably going to go all the way down to the wire. And there is going to be an odd man out or two.
Yep.
You're not going to the playoffs, and you had a sweet year. That's a little frustrating, but
Yeah, the
Just
division
shows you got to win every game you have an opportunity to when you're in a fight for some playoffs.
Exactly. The division's so tight right now between 4 teams. And at the beginning of the season, it looked like the division was going to be awful, but everybody seems to be trending upwards. So I feel like there could be 2 wildcard teams from our division again this year. Just because the Diamondbacks have been hot. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, so I don't know if they'll stay hot. The Giants, they have a lot of injuries. I think it's really going to be between the Dodgers and the Rockies for the division. It's just I don't think the Giants and the Diamondbacks can hold up through the whole season, which is good.
Let's hope the Diamondbacks was it the Diamondbacks that pulled out their second baseman
To pitch.
Oh yeah,
and their catcher.
well they
Let's hope
So
that happens a couple more times this year.
yeah they've pitched their second baseman and their catcher for
the majority of the game.
2/3 of the
I'm
game.
down for a few more 19-run games by the Rockies.
Oh, that would be so good.
That would be
Putting
really
those teams
nice.
in horrible positions
Yeah,
like
if we
that.
can do that in Arizona this series, that'd be nice.
That would be magic.
Just glad we got over that Diamondback hump.
Yes.
Hopeful wishing.
'Cause they've been
They seem
destroying
to have
us.
our number up until this past series, and I'm very anxious to see how the current series pans out.
Let's turn it around and take first place in the division. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
we're-
thinking.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple big series against the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers coming up. This is a good chance for the Rockies to show up and win those series, and they could be in first place in a week.
Right, those divisional matchups are really so key to changing kind of just the momentum that the Rockies are trying to carry to get to that first spot.
And that's why they made the playoffs last year, because they dominated the division. That was a wild card spot because the Dodgers just dominated everybody.
All you got to do is get in.
Yep.
Because they had the best record in the division last year in the NL West. And this year it's been a lot worse, but they've been doing really well against everybody else.
The addition of Machado is definitely going to boost their
Yeah.
offensive
Right.
power.
Scary.
I know.
Dodgers.
When they have Corey Seager, who was their starting shortstop, which I would say Seager's just as good as Machado, maybe even better, but he's out for the season because of Tommy John surgery. But the Dodgers are in LA, so they have all that money, so they're just like, nah, let's just buy someone else to take his spot. That's just as good. Rockies don't have that luxury.
Right.
But we
before-
also don't have that allure as far
No.
as the market. Not necessarily about money, but also just the allure of being in LA,
Yeah.
being
And
that
playing
team.
for the Dodgers.
And like you said, the Angels aren't doing very well.
Yes.
That's North LA. Nobody cares about North LA. They do have Mike Trout, though. He's probably the best player in the league. He's the best player I've ever seen. play
Pretty
baseball.
damn good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So before the break, they brought John Gray back up from the minors, and he pitched one heck of a game. I personally was super surprised. I was really skeptical.
Yeah, he pitched 7 1/3. He had 1 earned run, 1 walk, which is spectacular. Normally he'd have like 4 or 5 in 7 innings, and 6 strikeouts, which is pretty low for him, but that's average if you compare it to other pitchers. I mean, it's only 1 game back, but as you guys know, I love John Gray, so I was excited to see that. And he'll be pitching, what was it, Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday. So we'll see if he can keep it going because he's been so inconsistent. I don't know if he learned something down to the minor leagues. Hopefully he did. It looked like he did based on his last performance, but we'll see if he can keep it going because he's so inconsistent.
Well, it seems like the rest of the team is starting to finally perform at expectations.
At the
and
same time.
At the same time, yeah,
Right.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing thing. So I hope it definitely bleeds into John Gray's game, and he's going to continue pitching well and doing what we anticipated that he would do for the start or from the start of the season.
Yeah, you look at like Ian Desmond, he's our $72 million man, and he was awful, but he's picked it up the last month. Carlos Gonzalez, he was bad for the first 2 months of the season, but he's been awesome the last month. So it seems like everybody's just clicking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The bullpen, they've finally figured it out. I don't know what happened with them, but they've been pitching amazing over the last month, and it's refreshing to see.
It'll be cool to see what Freeland does tomorrow as well against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he should have been an all-star. Really wish he would have made
Snubbed.
it. I know. Him and Ottavino. It's not right. But we got Charlie Blackmon in, and I didn't think he deserved it, so we got 3 in, which was awesome.
Yeah, especially when you are having the chance to see that many members of your home team represented. I can't remember what I was listening to, another podcast or sports radio today, but talking about how a lot of times with the All-Star game, it's not necessarily about who gets in, as long as enough people from your team get in to make an impact and really be visible more than anything. Kind of heightens the reputation of the team as a whole when you get that kind of representation.
Great from the marketing side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Arenado didn't really do much during the game, but Charlie Blackmon, he was interviewed during the game. Trevor Story hit that tying home run. So we had Rockies players, getting that national attention, which is nice to see.
Alyssa, you said it was really cool to see other Rockies fans in another stadium.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when you see these Rockies players doing well at the All-Star game and getting that national recognition, as you travel and watch your team at away games, you're going to start running into more and more Rockies fans. And that's exciting for people that come from Colorado to finally be getting recognition as a big sports town city.
Absolutely. Yep. I know, we always say sports town, like Denver's small.
Right.
It's pretty big.
We're just barely on the map.
We're a little country
Flyover
town.
state, we swear.
Things are still pretty quiet with the Broncos, obviously. We are waiting patiently for training camp to begin later on this month. So we figured today, per Gideon's suggestion, we would talk about some breakout players who we each kind of predict is going to have a big breakout season this year. Obviously, it's super early, but it's always fun to talk about different predictions and players you think are really going to step out and get some limelight and perform well. Who wants to go first?
I vote for Miles.
Miles.
Well, I mean, one of the guys that I think is going to really make a bigger impact is Bradley Roby. I mean, he's definitely has been very impactful over the last couple of years, but now that Talib's out of the picture, I think he's really going to start shining. I mean, it's just crazy to think that we've had such a blessing in our secondary with Talib, with Ward, with Stewart, with Harris over the last few years. Big shoes to fill, no doubt. I mean, what was it, a couple of years ago, both Talib and Harris were top 5 positionally ranked.
Right.
Yep.
So it'll definitely be interesting. He's got the know-how, he's got it, the speed, the defense, the mentality to really bring back, quote unquote, the no-fly zone. Now, was Talib said that the no-fly zone left?
And then
Yeah.
Chris Harris said,
Someone-
Chris Harris
yeah,
was
someone
like,
said
no,
that.
it's still here.
No, it's still here.
It's not one person, it's the
Love
mentality
Chris Harris.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and fire that you bring to the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was last year that Roby really started to come into his own with passes defensed. I mean, he tied Chris Harris's record for most defensed passes in a single season. So we'll see what he does with a slightly more expanded role. I'm sure they're going to throw Tremaine Brock in there and the new young blood Yidam, but it's going to be Roby and Harris, and I think Roby's just going to go off. People know what Harris's production's going to be.
Absolutely.
They know he's going to be a lockdown. So,
It would be great to see Roby really
well, I think
rise and meet Chris at that level.
I think Roby was only targeted last season on maybe a fifth of the passes, 20% or so. Obviously, that's probably all right. Aqib and Harris are out there. Let's target this guy.
Yeah.
It probably is definitely going to go up with more high-profile wide receivers he's guarding, but I'm excited to see what he does.
I like that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does to fill in Talib's shoes.
Well,
As long as he's not poking eyes and pulling chains.
And
Or
shooting
shooting
himself
himself.
in the
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, I gotta ask, what would be a breakout season for him? Just because, like,
I mean,
we know that Roby, he's a good cornerback. He's proven that. And
he's definitely good.
I feel like he's stepping into a role.
I think he's definitely going to have a better year than Talib in LA, I think. I don't think
How are you
Roby,
measuring? Are you going by
interceptions
targets versus receptions or interceptions?
I think a combination of everything. I think
that he's a
Roby's
shutdown
going to be a
corner.
shutdown,
Right.
not necessarily shutdown, but all around. He may not lead categories, but he's definitely going to be that solid all around guy that raises all facets of his game. He hasn't had more than 2 picks in a season, so I definitely think I'd be surprised if he doesn't get 4 with more targets, more high profile wide receivers. But I would say probably definitely we'll throw some stats out there. We'll say 5 picks, 22 passes defensed, and less than 40% completion rate against him.
Okay.
With less than a 75 quarterback rating against.
Definitely argument for Pro Bowl material.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Talib and Harris were Pro Bowl material year in and year out when they were playing together.
Yeah, Talib all 4 years.
Yeah, but Harris was still up there. I mean, if anything, he got snubbed from a couple of those. But
there's some really good corners in the league.
There's some really good corners.
But the next year they rated Chris Harris as second best corner in the league. They realized
they're like, this guy's good.
Yeah.
And he was Harris was undrafted.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
he was. That's right.
So he's got that fire, which not a lot of players have. They're like, all right, I came out, I'm a top 10 corner.
He's
top
really
10
had
draft
to
pick.
work for it.
Yeah.
He worked for it. He proved himself, and he's still proving himself.
Yeah.
Well, he's the guy that he's not like a showboater or anything, so like he doesn't get that national attention, which I think hurts him a lot of times in Pro Bowl voting because he's not like Talib or Richard Sherman or someone like that. But he's just a shutdown quarterback. Like he reminds me of Champ Bailey in certain ways.
Yeah.
To where you're not going to throw his way.
Champ was awesome.
Yeah. It's like he's not going to get a lot of interceptions
like the
because you're not
quiet
going to throw
leader.
towards him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just asked that question just because like I expect Roby to fill Talib's shoes and hopefully outperform him. So like I already have those high expectations for Roby.
Definitely, but I mean, filling his shoes, it just for any corner is going to be a big role regardless.
Yeah.
It's a huge ask. Talib's been one of the best corners. I wouldn't necessarily say top 5 over the last in his career, but probably top 10 over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
There's definitely some really good corners out there that it's tough to match up against.
Right.
Especially with the spotlight that he gets on the negative aspect of things. Pulling chains, poking eyes. Now, that's part of his character. That's who he is.
Yeah.
That's what makes Talib Talib. But I'm excited to see what Roby's going to do on an expanded role.
I like it.
And I am going to miss Talib a little bit, just like for that intimidation factor.
I am, but I think
he's the guy that'll mess you up
I'm
a little
over
bit.
Talib.
Yes, but I think it's more beneficial in the locker room to not have him on a full season going into the playoffs.
Probably. Well, yeah, he's the type of guy where if things are going good, then it's great. But if things are going bad, he's going to be a disaster in the locker room.
He's so toxic. Yeah, when things are rough and there's any kind of adversity, he is not a person that benefits the locker room.
No. No.
All right, who's your breakout prediction, Jordan?
So I'm going to go a little outside the box, going with the cornerback role, like Miles. But I'm going to go with Will Parks. He's a guy that he's been solid for the Broncos for the last 2 years. He's been stuck behind Talib, Harris, Roby, and he's a guy that can play safety, but he's stuck behind Simmons and Stewart as well, and now Sue Cravens. And I think Will Parks is going to be the guy that's going to fill that third cornerback role.
You think he's going to really shine in preseason and before the actual season starts to solidify a starting role or a possible starting role?
Yeah, he like in training camp over the last 2 years and in preseason, like he's always looked really good. but he's always had better talent ahead of him. And I think that now Talib is gone, he can fill that third role. I don't think he's had the opportunities to prove himself.
Well, and I think that the Broncos must see something in him, making the moves that they did, like no longer having Talib.
Yeah, that's true. Because in this league, you have to have 3 quarterbacks.
You have to have depth. You absolutely have to. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a passing league now, and most offenses line up with 3 wide receivers and a tight end that can catch the ball. So it's like you have to have 3 legit cornerbacks. And luckily, the Broncos, they have depth at defensive backs, even though they traded Talib. And I think Will Parks is gonna fill that position.
It was a good trim of the salary as well. The cap hit.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I mean, if you've got a cornerback that can fill the role proficiently, I mean, obviously you're not going to come into a new starting role and then be as good or better than Aqib Talib. But if you can proficiently play and continue the concept of the no-fly zone, then yeah, why pay Talib, what was it, $7 million a year or something like that?
I think it was like 10.
10?
Yeah. It was a lot.
Either way, we got guys that can play the position for a fraction of that, and then we can pay the big boys.
Yeah, and
bigger boys.
Yeah, the bigger boys. Yeah, and Darian Stewart, he's an aging safety, so if he gets hurt, I feel like Will Parks could step into that role. I mean, he won't be as good as Stewart, but I feel like he could play safety.
Yeah, he does provide an interesting kind of flexibility there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued by that. I feel like he's going to have some interesting opportunities, and it's if he can take them and run with them or not.
I don't know if it'll be at the beginning of the season, but at some point during the season, he will be the nickel backer for the Broncos. And
really?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
he will be the third starting cornerback.
I can see that.
Yeah. Because who else would it be, do you think?
Tremaine Brock.
Okay. I could see that.
I mean, he was good. Because I think he came from the Niners. Tremaine Brock did. And he played pretty decent, but I don't know too much history as far as play time with him or anything along those lines. Will Parks is definitely a good pick. Although I think I'm still standing by Roby. He's in a contract year.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Like, my expectations for Roby is very high. Like, and I hope he meets those expectations.
How high are your expectations for Parks?
If he's the third starting cornerback halfway through the season, then he will have met my expectations. I expect him to get, 30,
I think that's pretty reasonable
30
for
to
him.
40 tackles.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
3 interceptions.
Especially with the versatility where he can back up and play safety.
Yeah.
Broncos definitely need to step up their turnover ratio.
Yes.
I mean, we have a great defense, but last year we didn't do a very good job at creating turnovers, and then obviously our offense.
They were sucking wind
prone.
because they're on the field 80% of the time.
Exhausted.
Yeah.
All right, kid. What about you? Breakout player prediction.
I'm going on the offensive side of the ball, and my choice is Cortland Sutton.
Rook.
This guy's a rookie. We drafted him to kind of push DT a little bit, I think. If DT doesn't pan out and we don't want to re-sign him when his contract's up, then we're going to have a viable option that can do really well in the starting role after he gets some good experience. But Sutton's not seen as a very tall receiver. I mean, he's 6'3", so he's not like a Calvin Johnson or he's 6'6", 6'7", and just towering over everyone. But he definitely has the size to create space for easy catches. Gives the quarterback a great option because his catch radius is so large. So even if he's covered, he's going to give an opportunity to Case Keenum to be like, hey, put the ball over here on the complete other side of the defender, and I'll still move my body in a way to still be able to make the catch. In the his sophomore, senior seasons in college, he averaged 16 yards a catch. Disregarding his freshman year where he only had 2 catches the entire season, the rest of his collegiate career, he really showed that he was a threat, and you had to make sure you knew where he was on the field every play that he's out there. So if he comes to the NFL and is able to even average 7 or 8 yards a catch, I think he's going to be a really good option for Case Keenum to be able to make easy completions when Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are covered, because they are still receivers that defenses are going to be paying most attention to, and that's an additional reason why I think Courtland Sutton's going to thrive being our possible number 3 receiver and being a great check down option.
Oh, and as we've mentioned on previous podcasts, it's been a long time since the Broncos have had a solid number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah.
I would love for Courtland to completely just take that role on and be a breakout star.
Yeah, I mean, barring any injuries, like I hope no one really gets hurt, and I think Courtland Sutton can still nab 30 or 40 catches this year, and if he can put up, like 500 or 600 yards receiving, I think I'll be really content with his production on that year. But if he pushes 1,000 yards receiving, he's definitely going to be in the argument for Rookie of the Year. But the only way I see him pushing 1,000 yards receiving or even 80 catches, for that matter, I think unfortunately someone would have to get traded, or there's going to be an injury that happens. I don't think there's any chance that he's going to be a definitive number 1 or number 2 option this year for the Broncos with the receiving talent that we have on our team.
It is so established with DT and Emmanuel. But you never know.
Yeah, I think we drafted him as DT's replacement.
Well, he's very talented.
He's really tall, right? Oh
6'3".
my god, I sound like Van
6'3".
He's
not
218.
He's tall.
He's not super tall.
Pounds.
I mean, for an average human being, he's tall. But for a
Compared
receiver,
to my 5'3" self,
for a receiver, he's a giant to you. But in the realms of receiver, like, he's average. He's the receiver that you want. Like, he's not undersized, he's not oversized. His speed is not Emmanuel Sanders lightning fast, but he's got some wheels and he's a deep threat. He can definitely run the deep route and make tackle or break tackles. Maybe he can make tackles. Hopefully we don't find out. But no, he can break tackles, he can run deep, and he's a great receiving threat in my opinion.
Do you think, with the versatility of DT and Emmanuel, that we would split Sutton out wide and utilize the speed of Emmanuel on the inside in the slot?
That's probably...
I
think we're going to see a lot of
I
different
think we definitely
schemes.
should, yeah.
He's already had a little attitude about that, per usual. I love you, Emmanuel. You're my favorite.
I mean, given...
Nice little diva.
Given the talent of Case Keenum,
spirits.
which is significantly better than the talent we've seen in the quarterback position in Denver in a few years, I think we're going to see
even
a whole lot of different
behind
schemes.
the top 2.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had Sunshine, we've had Latimer.
Latimer's gone.
We've had a couple good ones, but
Benny
I think this is
gone.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
We've got McKenzie.
We've got some nice. We've got some promising receivers up and coming.
Make strides.
I hope so. I think we all hope so.
This dude's got to stick him inside of his jeans or something. not his pants, but like his genetics.
He needs to learn how to wave his hand in the air. Fair catch.
Grow
That's
hands.
still allowed in the NFL.
They can buy him bigger gloves, right? Give him a couple of baseball gloves. I think he'd be really good.
Or the glue that they used in the replacements.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Some stick 'em. Little Giants, man. Little Giants.
Cheating is bad.
So, who is your breakout player, Alyssa?
I'm going rogue. I'm also going with a rookie on the offensive side of the ball. Undrafted. Months from now, I'll either feel like Nostradamus or a complete idiot. But this guy's just been on my radar. Phillip Lindsay. I'm super intrigued by Phillip Lindsay. Broncos signed him as an undrafted rookie, and especially with CJ being gone, I just feel like there's a lot that he could do in that running backs room. That right now is a room where it's just it's a fight. There's no one that's a clear leader. And there's just something about it. I think kind of in my head, I'm like painting out the story of how it will go. You hope it's like a Chris Harris Jr. story, and he's just this incredible player and brings a lot to the team. And I'm also a total sucker for the fact that he's a hometown kid. He's from Aurora, Colorado, which is where we are broadcasting from. He played for the Buffs up in Boulder and was a great player for them. He tore his ACL his senior year of high school, so he was largely unrecruited going into college. But for CU, he was the very first player in CU history to record back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And he was also really effective as a returner. Isaiah McKenzie. We may certainly need someone to fill that role as well. And so I feel like as a running back as well as a returner, he could bring something special to the team. There's just something about him that I find really intriguing. I can't honestly say I have any logical reason why. Just a gut instinct.
Do you think he's going to be more of an impact returning or running?
Returning.
That's why he'll be breakout.
Yep.
Okay.
And let's be honest,
I'd agree with
we
that.
are hard up for some help. We need someone to swoop in and save the day
catch
when
the
it
ball.
comes to our returning.
And
Yeah,
catch
you
the
know
ball.
what?
Positive
Flip with me.
yards.
You don't even have to save the day. You just got to catch the ball.
When our running back too. Name one running back on our team that's done anything.
Crickets.
Booker.
I mean, he's ran the ball.
He's got some first downs.
Yeah.
Couple, maybe some touchdowns.
Yeah.
Some catches.
And I know we drafted some like very promising potential running
Rice
backs.
Freeman's gonna be.
Absolutely.
He's
I
gonna be a
think he's gonna be
workhorse.
the stud. Yeah.
Yep.
But we don't know.
But I'm pulling for you, Philip Lindsay.
Summer camp's
I
coming
am
up.
your current biggest fan here in mid-July. We'll see if I love you in November.
Yeah, I like
Arenado with another homer. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is it tied?
We are still watching
yeah, I think that
the
was
Rockies
a
game,
two-runner.
clearly.
'Cause it was
He's
5
had
to
2
3.
homers
Oh,
this game.
Nolan just tied it up.
5 to 5.
Tied to
5 to 5,
5.
top of the 5th.
Yeah, that's his second one today.
2 more runs until tacos.
Yeah, I like the
Tacos.
I like the running back choice just because there's no proven running backs.
Right.
So Lindsay, he could be a
It's
great
wide
returner,
open
but
for
he
someone
could
to
be,
just come in and like.
he's a guy that could
take
run for
over.
500 yards this year. So
Yes.
we don't know what Freeman's gonna do. We don't know what Henderson. Right.
Oh, yeah, D'Angelo.
D'Angelo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I do
don't know
want
what he's gonna
D'Angelo
do.
Henderson to do well simply because he's number 33 and that is my number, and we have not had a good number 33 Bronco ever. Larry Walker
Yeah.
and Patrick Waugh, they got me, but no Broncos.
No Broncos.
Still, Philip Lindsay. That's
Philip
my
Lindsay. Okay.
All right.
pick. Yeah.
I like it.
We chatted a little bit about our old friend Aqib Talib earlier. He had a little sass to throw around this week. I don't know as
surprise
much
there.
about it as you guys. So, kind of, what was his statements? What was
I
he
don't know.
going on about?
That's all Gideon and Jordan. I'm in the dark on this.
I mean, I wouldn't call it sass. I mean, he was pretty upfront and honest about his thoughts on leaving Denver. But he thought that Jonh Elway wasn't necessarily forming the defense to be the best that they could. I can't remember what his words specifically were, but essentially he wanted Jonh Elway to keep the dogs in the house. I know was what he said.
Yeah.
And that's to reference like Danny Trevathan, Malik Jackson, TJ Ward, yeah. So, and then obviously Talib is one of those dogs. But I know he's thrived under the coaching of Wade Phillips. He also criticized the amount of schemes, the different stunts that they were able to make last year opposed to what they were doing under Wade Phillips. Phillips being an exceptional defensive coordinator and former head coach.
Right.
He's
one of the best.
way more talented in play calling than who's our
Joe
defensive?
Woods.
Joe Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
Talib definitely
no
made
argument there.
some good points regarding criticizing how Jonh Elway is being the general manager of the Denver Broncos. But I think part of him is still a little sour because Denver is a sweet place to be, and our football team is awesome. We have a great franchise. I mean, who doesn't love Jonh Elway? This dude knows how to win. He might not be the kindest human being, but he's
That's stuff you always hear from natives.
He is
My uncle
really
was
good
a
at football.
bartender. And he says, exactly. And I think, honestly, bring it on. Bring on the criticism. I think that's part of the game.
Well,
I think it's, it's welcome. It's part of the fun of it. And I think if anyone thrives on feeling a little slighted or pressure, it's Elway.
Well, and the way I've interpreted it was that Talib wanted to stay in Denver. Like, he misses Denver.
Yeah.
It's not like he was looking to get out. Like, he feels hurt that the Broncos traded him. But it wasn't a Talib issue, in my opinion. I think it was a money issue. Because he was going to make $10 million.
That was the main
And you can't
factor.
pay everybody.
Yes.
We couldn't keep him. We couldn't keep
needed
TJ
a
Ward.
quarterback.
Yeah.
And we got a quarterback.
Yeah. So I took it as, like, he's hurt that we let him go because he wanted to stay. And he has every right to feel upset about that. But it kind of makes me feel good that, he wanted to be a Bronco.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of validating.
It's a cool
That's true.
franchise.
Yeah, it really is. But you can't pay everybody.
Nope.
That's why we got rid of Danny Trevathan. Like, I wish we could have kept him, but it was a money issue.
Right.
He was a free agent. The Bears offered him more money than we did.
And he actually tapered off in his production too.
He
So
really
it's like,
did. It was obviously a smart call.
it's a business choice and definitely a gamble. I mean, you see it in all different kinds of sports where
Right.
players get their contracts and then they decline in production. There's also players that get their big contracts and continue to produce, and they're amazing.
Speaking of a different kind of type of gamble, shifting to the Nuggets, we all know they drafted Michael Porter Jr.
Big gamble.
Big gamble with
That's what it's looking
back
like.
injury. What's kind of the update on his status?
So this
health-wise?
is the second back procedure that he's had this summer. The first one was disclosed by the Nuggets, I think, last week. But it had already occurred
So he's had
a few
one
weeks
surgery
prior to that.
already.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then I believe earlier this week is at the pace that the Nuggets are announcing these updates, that he had the procedure done earlier this week. And from what I've seen just from quick articles here and there on what the interwebs are telling us, it doesn't sound like it's super, super serious because apparently he was shooting around a little bit the other day. Not running or jumping super hard, but just making sure that his shot's intact, and he's going through the motions on rehabbing his back to make sure that he's healthy enough to play at an NBA level.
And they're not going to rush him back. I mean, they've said and
There's
made
no
it clear
reason
that
to.
they're going to wait until he's 100%.
Yeah, there's no
I mean,
timetable for his return.
With that kind of prospect, you don't rush it.
No, this guy can.
But
he's
his
got the
camp also
potential.
says it could represent a breakthrough as far as this particular surgery goes.
Yes,
no
if
timetable,
they're trying,
but-
if they're trying a different procedure and the medical community is able to advance their techniques and procedures, then I think it's a great opportunity for the world, and maybe it's a great opportunity for the Nuggets if this guy's able to bounce back and be
What, the Adrian Peterson of
Really
of
good.
the NBA?
yeah.
When what percent of a chance do you guys think that he'll play this year? Because you look at Ben Simmons,
75.
and Blake Griffin, they sat out
Really?
their first year.
He'll
think-
play
Really?
this year.
I
I'm
think
not
he'll
saying-
definitely play this year.
He'll,
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's
But
playing
I
this
mean,
year.
unless there's another
Game one?
setback.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, game one, what do you think?
Game one percentage?
Right now, I would say 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets are going to be a playoff team with or without him. So they
It's
should take it
definitely
slow.
possible.
They should take it slow. Even if he doesn't play this year, I would be completely okay with
If
that.
it's better for him to take an entire year off, take a page out of Ben Simmons' book, maybe he can be Rookie of the Year next year.
I hate that rule, but
But
it's there.
if he's like Fultz on the Sixers, then he only is going to play a few games and then find out, oh, not good enough to be playing at this level yet as far as health is concerned.
Yeah.
But I think it's 50-50 that he starts playing by the beginning of the season.
Okay.
Because I'm really leaning
just from
towards
looking
just
at
sitting him the whole season.
Well, so the procedures that he had done was to address herniated disc in his lower back, and essentially what that means is like the fluid that separates or is in between your vertebrae and your back starts to bulge out, and your bones are basically pinching.
My dad had this surgery when I was in the first grade.
You're not convincing me that he should play.
It was
right.
awful.
But this isn't like a broken bone. It's not a torn muscle. It's not blown tendons or ligaments. This is trying to put more structure or support. There we go. More support for his back, so that his muscles can work properly and in unison, rather than one side's getting stronger than the other, and then the other half of your body starts spasming. It's not fun to go through as a professional athlete when you're trying to play at an elite level, and coming right out of college after playing 3 games, it's a huge step for this rookie to try and play with the big boys.
I mean, if there's any silver lining, obviously he did not play. He played, 1 game or 2 games when he came back at the end of the season?
He got hurt shortly into his first game.
So he came back and played 2.
That wasn't a complete game, and then he came back and played 2.
But I think it's the silver lining, I think, is it's promising that he was playing at that collegiate level after the surgery at the end of the season.
He could have done more damage to himself
He
during
could
those
have.
2 games. We don't know.
We don't know. But this surgery may have hopefully remedied some, if any, setbacks that could have happened.
I don't think...
He definitely wasn't shooting. He definitely needs to get in the rhythm.
I don't think this injury is as serious as everyone is making it out to be. Obviously, any back procedure that is opening you up and they're fixing things, it's going to be pretty serious. But I think as far as the recovery is concerned, with the training facilities that he has access to,
right, and that's a big factor, for sure.
Physical therapists, chiropractors.
Top of the line.
He has access to the best recovery people and equipment. So I think he's going to recover quickly, and
hope so.
I do believe he's going to play this year.
Yeah, I think whenever he does come back, it's going to be because they are 100% sure he's ready to play.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess around with
he was a 14th overall pick. It's not like he was the 1st or 2nd pick.
Right, but
like,
he could have been 1st or 2nd pick talent.
Yeah.
So you got to respect it.
You're not expecting him to play right away. Like, I would love to see him play, but I feel like they're going to take his time, and just whenever he's ready, he'll come back.
All right. I hope so. I really hope so. For those of you that don't know, Denver has an indoor professional lacrosse league called the Colorado Mammoth. And the National Lacrosse League is having an expansion draft this year. They've got 2 new teams being created, the San Diego Seals and the Buffalo Bandits. So just wanted to give a quick update on how that's affected the Mammoth. With an expansion draft, you get to protect 11 of your players. So the Mammoth chose to protect Dylan Ward, Dan Coates, Robert Hope, Joey Caputo, Jordan Giles, Taylor Stewart, Jeremy Noble, Ryan Benesh, Eli McLaughlin, Jacob Ruiz, and Chris Wardle. All really good choices. Well done by the coaching or the management. I'm not sure who gets to pick those 11 players. But the San Diego Seals went ahead and took Cam Holding, which is a bummer. Cam was an awesome player, but we wish him the best in San Diego. And they actually also took Bryce Sweeting, but then immediately traded him to the Buffalo Bandits, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping that at least Cam and Bryce would get to stay teammates together in San Diego. But San Diego did make a quick trade pretty much immediately, and so Bryce Sweeting is now with the Bandits. I'm excited that the National Lacrosse League is expanding. it's a great sport. I hope it can gain some traction. And this is a good big step forward, growing as a league. So, 11 whole teams now.
Yeah. It's been 9 teams for a long time. And this just shows that people want to see lacrosse and people are going to the games. And
lacrosse is a really cool sport.
It is. It's so fast paced. It's contact. It's drama. Like, there's a lot going on in lacrosse, and you have to be an incredibly skilled athlete to be good at lacrosse.
Yeah, it's like basketball and hockey and football, like all at the same time. And you definitely got to be really well conditioned. And on top of that, you got somebody else in your face and smacking your body with a stick. Like, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot happening.
So high paced.
But no, it's really exciting that the NLL is expanding, and hopefully we can get a few more teams on the West Coast to help grow the sport and encourage other people to show up for these indoor lacrosse games, because they're really exciting to go to.
Yeah, and having San Diego now, another team over here on the West, because most are East Coast and Canada. So we're slowly but surely expanding to more of our neck of the woods. And seriously, I think it's super cool that we have so many professional sports teams here in Denver, including indoor lacrosse.
Oh yeah, we're spoiled. And outdoor lacrosse.
Go
Outlaws.
Yes.
Go Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
Still haven't been to a game, but we're gonna go eventually.
Now that we're doing the podcast, we should probably go to some Outlaws games.
Yeah, now I'm feeling like really guilty.
They're pros.
Should we do it? Need to hit up some Rapids and some Outlaws for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we are spoiled with sports
in
Denver. We really
we
are.
got DU hockey too,
which is fantastic.
Borderline pro hockey.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like shit.
Always something going on, which is awesome. Rockies are currently tied still. Just made a great defensive play.
Oh, he was safe. But
no.
I think they're reviewing it.
Anyway, on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back with you next week. You can reach us at 5280filmroom@gmail.com if you have any questions, topics you want us to talk about, etc. Would love for you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. All right. I think that's it.
Toodles.
Catch you later.
Laters.
Peace.